There is light that the eye can see, and there is light that the eye cannot see, but that the body can experience. What do I mean by this? I have mentioned in a previous video that there are 6 colors of light. We call this the visible spectrum of electromagnetic waves: red, blue, green, orange, yellow, purple. This is the light that the eye sees. All light comes in the form of electromagnetic waves. So for example, X-rays, gamma rays, radio waves, that's all light. We may not be able to see it, but our body experiences it as light. Similarly, Wi-Fi, 3G, 4G, Bluetooth, light. So what we want to do to create an environment that facilitates good quality sleep is to eliminate the light that the eye sees, as I've mentioned previously, but also the light as much as possible that the body experiences. So, some advice here. When we sleep, now if you have access to this, if this is possible for you given the fact that you're staying in a house where maybe you have your own Wi-Fi router, or maybe you're sharing it with roommates, or there's one for the whole apartment building, or whatever it is. If you can control it and if you have access to it, I highly recommend turning off that Wi-Fi router at night before you go to bed. It's a game changer. Here's some perspective, right? Most routers emit a frequency between 2.5 and 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. So here's some perspective, right? The brain itself is an electromagnetic organ, and brain waves are something that we experience. Here's an example, right? The beta brain wave. There's a range which we call the beta brain wave. It is anywhere between 12 and 30 hertz. Now, 12 to 30 hertz, not kilohertz, not megahertz, and sure as hell not gigahertz. So what we're doing when we have a Wi-Fi router in our bedroom or close to us while we sleep is we're blasting our brain and our heart, both electromagnetic organs which generate their own electromagnetic fields. We're blasting these organs with an intense frequency of electromagnetic energy. We're meant to slow our brain waves down and slow our heart rate down to fall asleep and to get good quality sleep. How is this possible if we're constantly bombarding our electromagnetic organs with this intense frequency? We want to eliminate as much of this electromagnetic energy in our room as possible. So please, if you can, turn off that Wi-Fi router at night. You don't need it. Secondly, the phone should never be kept on our bedside table or, God forbid, underneath our pillow when we sleep. Those things are constantly broadcasting 3G, 4G, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and radio waves. Not to mention the battery inside one of these devices generating this electromagnetic field that is surrounding the phone. Now, some people say, well, I have mine on airplane mode and I keep it next to my bed because I need it as my alarm. That's a different thing, right? We should never use our phone as an alarm. I've mentioned earlier that light is a signal that informs our biology what kind of hormones to upregulate or downregulate. So if you wake up at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. and it's still dark outside and you tap your phone and that light is signaling your eyes with that color, which is mostly blue, the signal is received that it's daytime. Cortisol is upregulated. We're checking the time, I understand, but our biology is being programmed in such a way that the circadian signals are resetting. How is it possible that I've only slept 3 or 4 hours and already it's daytime? I'm getting this, it's already noontime, I'm getting this intense signal of blue light through my retinas. Let's come back. So my phone's on airplane mode. It's on my bedside table. Isn't that fine? It's not broadcasting 3G, 4G, Bluetooth. Sure. But most phones are still broadcasting GPS because even though they're on airplane mode, they're designed to do that so that if they're stolen, there is some kind of tracking signal still available. Secondly, a lot of people charge their phones on their bedside table. As soon as an electric current from the socket enters the phone, the battery is absorbing that electrical energy and generating this gigantic electromagnetic field right next to the head and the heart. We really, really want to avoid this. So prescriptions here would be buy a tiny analog clock and use that as a clock. If the ticking noise affects you, then keep it away from the bed, enough so you don't have to listen to it. And if you do need to check the time and you wake up at some point at night, then just get up and go and look at it. Do not blast the eyes with intense light through the night. That is setting yourself up for terrible quality sleep. Do not have the phone next to the head and the heart. Have it as far away from you as possible. I highly recommend charging the phone, leaving it on airplane mode or turned off, and charging it in a different room. That also helps to avoid looking at it first thing in the morning, going back to setting the circadian clocks. Avoid the habit of getting artificial light through the eyes before natural light. If it's in a different room, that impulse to pick it up and look at it slowly disappears. If you cannot have it in a different room, just have it as far away from the head and the heart as possible when you sleep, and either turned off or on airplane mode if you cannot turn your phone off. Thirdly, any device plugged in, sitting in your room, which is not necessary, should not be in there and should not be plugged in. So TVs, computers, stereo systems, you name it, whatever is in there which is drawing an electric current is generating an electromagnetic field, its own electromagnetic field. And if you have 10, 15, 20 of these things plugged in, generating these electromagnetic fields in your bedroom while you're trying to sleep, it's definitely affecting the quality of your sleep. The body is picking up on all of this light in the room and it has no idea. Going back to evolution, right? This is not how we evolved. We did not have this much electromagnetic smog in our sleep environments. Some people will say, yeah, well, okay, what about everybody else's router? I live in an apartment building and there's 20 or 30 or 50 other Wi-Fi signals. True, but there are things that I control and there are things that I do not control. The things that are closest to me, i.e. the ones in my room, the ones in my apartment, I do have control over, and those are the ones that are going to impact my sleep the most because of the inverse square law, which states the closer it is to me, the more of an impact it's going to have on me. So yes, I'm going to ignore what I cannot control and set it up so that the immediate environment is as electromagnetic free as possible.